You're watching Wartscenter.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Wartscenter. The semi-final is upon us, and as always, I am joined with Tanaka, Dimitri Lund, and Koba. How is everyone?
Exabama rolls. Sorry, I had to get that out.
No, that's good.
Okay, they're really good. I put butter on them.
No, I haven't been to Texabama.
Texabama pre-roll right here. Part of my new Koba Kush line of products.
It's too warm in Texabama for me, personally. Dimitri, are you with us?
I'm barely breathing. I gotta sit between these two guys every week.
Yeah, well,
Without this guy's applesauce.
yeah, well, the producers has enforced the assigned seating, so there will be no changes. But anyway, enough of us at the desk. Let's talk about the quarterfinal round and some friendlies and break down what happened. All right, in our first quarterfinal match, the New England Matriarchs defeat the Guttersburg Rebels 3-0. Handhausen gets the MVP, but Sonya the Dancer is the true star with 2 touchdowns, 6 total SPP. On the opposite side of the bracket, the Slam Diego Chargers take down the Wildwood EU 2-1. Both teams not putting up massive numbers, as both Walnut Moss and Filthy Lad are the highest producers with just the MVP. And now, the most electric games of the quarterfinal. First up, the Neuroport Brainwave Blitzers defeat the SCLSU Mudclaws 4-2. Derek Walleye gets the 2 touchdowns to try to keep him alive in this postseason, but Timothy the Voidwalker puts together a 3 touchdown and MVP night, sealing the deal. They're heading to the semis. And Deja Vu as the Vermin Skulkers defeat the Los Alamos Aliens again 4-2. Lots of high-scoring matches in these quarters. Warpheus didn't go down without a fight, however, with 1 casualty on Longshanks Steeltail nonetheless, and 2 touchdowns. But on the other side, amidst the missing MVP, Stretch Sneak Claw gets it in with 3 touchdowns, 9 SPP. And in our friendly circuit, the San Fran Caesars Legion defeat the Rothleech and Rampage 3-1. Skip 10 Bits picks up the MVP, and Cornelius II shows his dominance with a 3 touchdown night.
Whoa, sorry, I just got really excited.
That's fine. That's what you guys are here for. And Blast from the Past. The Ashen Isle Blighting tie it up against the Orlando Orcas in an exhibition match that had the entire room screaming as the Orcas put up 6 casualties, and they both knotted up at a touchdown apiece. Anything to say about these matches, fellas, before we move on to take a look at the bracket?
This is definitely an electric week of Blood Bowl, folks. It can only get better from here, really.
Just another great week and a great season of Blood Bowl.
I particularly want to call out how impressive, despite a 1-1 draw in that exhibition game, the Orcas played, actually. 6 casualties is no small feat, as well as a superb thrown teammate from their troll, Keat. The Orcas were pulling out all the stops, but the Blighting came back from their season 1 appearance and proved that they were not an easy team to beat, which is how they ended up in a draw. But I mean, you saw these playoff games, absolutely electric Blood Bowl, as it's been said.
Yeah, and you probably heard the if you were watching the Los Alamos Skulkers match, you probably heard the screaming. It was from the Blighting Orcas match. There was a crowd around that team just screaming, pissing and coming. It was crazy.
It was a zombie, right?
Yeah, that was the impressive part. The Blighting touchdown
was the longest.
Zombie Tim, who almost the entire length of the pitch to force a draw at the end.
Legend of Tim.
But yeah, before we move on, just want to give a shout out to good old Martin St. Lougarou. Man, just season 1 player for the Blighting. Welcome back, Martin. Never too old for Blood Bowl, they say.
Never.
Especially if you're undead.
It's always great when we get to see some old faces. Anyway, let's look at the bracket now. So quarterfinals are done, and now we are in the final 4. Only 4 teams remain, and unsurprisingly, they are our top 4 teams. So this week, the New England Matriarchs are going to take on the Vermin Skulkers. These 2 squads have not faced each other yet this year. Both high scoring, high flying. It's going to be a great one to watch. On the other side of the bracket, the Slam Diego Chargers and the Neuroport Brainwave Blitzers go head-to-head. Both have posted respectable statistics. Both are towards the top half in touchdowns. They both have marked a hell of a lot of casualties, and they've faced each other, and it ended in a stalemate. So there's no ties in playoff Blood Bowl. So the score is going to get settled tonight. Really exciting stuff. We're going to break down these matches one by one, but anything brief from the desk before we move on?
No Cinderella stories. Also, my bracket's busted, so yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. There were no upsets. The ones beat the fours, the twos beat the threes. It was as predicted, I suppose.
My bracket is about as busted as Dolph's mom.
Yeah, no, it's a little impressive that we truly had a season where all the top end teams shook out as they did in the standings. Especially after last year when we expanded to the 8-team playoff, where a lot of topsy-turvy games came out. But with this 12-team field this year, 8 making playoffs, we really had some dominant teams really from early in the season. And you're going to see the 4 of them here fighting over those last 2 spots.
Yep, and it's, if it follows the trend, then you're going to see Chargers Skulkers. But there's got to be an upset in there somewhere. We'll have to wait and see. All right, ignore the wall of text, because not only is it the semifinals, but it's also bowl week. For anyone not in the semifinals, they are invited to play in a multitude of renowned bowl games, not unlike the college version, the Dungeon Bowl, the NC Dungeon Bowl. But we do our own thing here, and we've got a few bowl games that we want to talk about before we get into the semifinals. Consider it an appetizer. First up, we've got the 4th edition of the Murder Bowl. The SC LSU Mud Claws and the Los Alamos Aliens go head to head. The 2 most destructive teams from this past season take the pitch on pure Astra granite. So with all of our bowl games, there's some different rules and some different venues that they take place in. So with Murder Bowl, it's in the Blackstone Arena in Nashville in the Carolinas Confederacy. Like we said, it's in an Astra granite surface. So when players fall, they fall hard. There's more likely to be injuries, fitting of a Murder Bowl. And then it's also in an enclosed pitch, so no one's getting out. If you a lot of bouncing bodies against the walls of this enclosed pitch, so it's great. We won't bore you with the details of the rules, but obviously the text is there from the desk. Though, what do you think about the Murder Bowl, and who's going to win it?
Personally, love watching the Murder Bowl every year. However, I think the Mud Claws are going to take it this year. Despite the fact that aliens bleed acid, that hasn't stopped the Mud Claws from smashing and gnashing their teeth into flesh this season.
This will mark the 2nd Murder Bowl for Los Alamos. The first time was in their rookie season, and they played against the Guadalajara's Wizard Lizards, another Lizardmen team. And they ended up losing that match too. However, they did kill Ramshield, a star Source player on their team. So I actually also agree. I expect a Los Alamos loss, even though a win here would give them 500 all time across all their matches.
They've got to win.
But if anything, this should be a very high body count game. We have Claws. That doesn't really stack with all the modifiers, obviously, but we have Diablo Zod, all-time leader in casualties, all-time leader in postseason casualties at this time. He's going to be cooking, and there's a lot of skinks. That's going to stack up quickly. There's going to be double-digit body count between these teams. I almost guarantee it. It's going to be a good game.
And that's why we love Murder Bowl.
Yeah, this is going to be a great one. Murder Bowl is always a lot of fun, if only for the destructive environment that the game gets played in. As Tanaka mentioned, the aliens, actually their second trip here, coincidentally against lizards the first time around. And we'll see if lightning strikes twice as far as lizards versus aliens in the Blackstone Arena is concerned. But it's always proved to be a destructive game, and more impressively still, all 3 previous instances of Murder Bowl have featured at least one death, so let's try and keep that tradition going.
They don't call it Murder Bowl for nothing. And then, this is one of our most historied bowl games. It's been here since the beginning, so it holds a special place in all of our hearts. For me, Tanaka, did the aliens win the last Murder Bowl?
Oh no, they lost. It was
They
like
lost.
3-1,
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it was bad because it's the aliens are slow. They're really bad against faster teams, and they
Yeah.
do have skinks. The question is, can they murder enough skinks? So
Yeah.
if they murder the skinks, then
Well,
they got a good chance. If they don't murder the skinks, they're probably gonna lose.
I gotta say, this year has been, for the aliens, at least in my opinion, it's been the season of redemption. They've been on the outside looking in for many years. They finally got over that hurdle, and I think this is another hurdle they get over. I think they hoist the Murder Bowl this evening. All right, another historied bowl game for us is the Shadowrun Cup 25-26. So this is our Dungeon Bowl match that occurs in the Neo Natty Dungeons of the Neo Natty Undergrounds in the Commonwealth of Ohio, wherever that may be. But it's your standard.
I think it's near Woznia.
Yeah, it's your standard Dungeon Bowl classic game. There are a lot of special rules for the different rooms that pop up in the dungeon there. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, there's a ball and a treasure chest. There's two teams going at it. The Tekken Kings and the Wrath Legion Rampage are going to scurry around, try to pick up that ball and put it in the opponent's dungeon end zone. What do you guys think about this one?
This just looking at this, it's going to be a wild match. I mean, I see the TV differential. I know there's not a lot of inducements in Dungeon Bowl, but the Tomb Kings, they have the potential to really survive the potential bomb checks they're going to be making. But the question I see is, are they fast enough to score? Because the Rampage have a variety of weapons offensively to really move around. I don't know how much of the throw teammate they're going to be able to do, but sturdy-wise, I would give the team that's, in Tombs an edge in a Dungeon Bowl match, in all honesty.
Fair enough.
Nah, for me, I'm betting it all on the mummies. You see, Tomb Kings are very acquainted with tombs. Dungeons are a lot like tombs. Therefore, this is their game to win.
Familiar territory for sure.
Yeah, even though most of the colleges in the Northern Kingdoms are in the Wrath Legion Mountains, the Rampage have coaches, players, all very familiar with the concept of Dungeon Bowl. They are a team that is experienced in this department, but don't count out the Kings. The Kings have been very good at ball control this season. As often is the case in Dungeon Bowl, usually the team that finds the ball is the one that has all the advantage in the world. But if the Kings are the team that can find that ball first, I don't see a world where the Rampage can win this game because they're just going to close off those corridors, and it doesn't matter how long it takes them to do it. They'll probably just walk it in.
Yeah, I mean, I was Tanaka and Koba. You guys beat me to it. I was gonna drone on about where would you find a tomb guardian in a pyramid, right? What's a pyramid known for? Having a lot of different corridors and hidden rooms and things of the like. So they're definitely in their own territory.
Might as well be their own backyard.
But Wrath Legion, they grow up in the mountains. It's a similar situation. Sometimes a trail can resemble a dungeon or a tomb. So I think they're gonna play the Indiana Jones in this one. They're gonna sneak in. They're gonna steal the treasure, and they're gonna find their way out of that dungeon. Give me the Rampage. All right, and not as historied, but my favorite bowl game. We have the second iteration of the Sun Crushed Bowl. There is a massive wall of text. We're not even gonna cover that. But basically, in the Niharvia, I don't know, County Coliseum in the Stratus Valley, it is raining Sun Crust. What is Sun Crust? We're not really sure. It's orange, sticky liquid, and it rains from the skies, and it makes Blood Bowl a very interesting situation. But the Orlando Orcas are going to take on the Wildwood EU there. They're going to have to fight this strange weather table where even when the weather is perfect, there's still sun crust raining from the sky. And it is known to have a massive dwarven fan base who love a little bit of heckling, a little bit of tomfoolery. They love to strip naked and dance in the sun crushed rain. So a lot of disruption. Yeah. And it's become even a pastime too, because the refs don't really seem to try to stop it. It's really up to the players if they want that streaker gone. So it's a great time. We love the Sun Crush Bowl. But Tanaka, who's winning the Sun Crush Bowl?
Man, I've witnessed the Sun Crush Bowl. It's probably the most electric match you'll find. The Dwarven Streaker is just the perfect cherry on top of pure chaos that you'll see here. I feel like the Orcas are going to have a disadvantage with the agility tests negative, just because elves are elves. But some of these other potential weather effects that can pop up, and just the fact that the Dwarven Streaker can get in the way, there's a chance that the offense for the Wildwood EU slows down just enough where the Orcas can rack up some casualties. And again, this is an elven team with armor 8, and the Orcas just had a 6 casualty game in their own right. So I can't pick a tie. It is Wildwood. I would pick a tie, but this has to end.
It has to end.
I'll pick an upset here. I'm gonna give it to the Orcas. I think the sun crushed, the fizzy orange ooze here gives them a bit of an edge to slow down their competition and crush some heads in to end their season with a win.
All right. Koba.
I've been getting along real well with those Wildwood elves. We've been hitting that Koba Kush pretty hard. And because of that brotherhood that we had taking bong hits together, I believe they will survive the orange rain and crush those whales.
All right. Dimitri.
Yeah, no, this is, as mentioned, this might be the most fun game of Blood Bowl we will have in our entire schedule ever going forward. It's really an instance where you get to really enjoy the game for what it is and not necessarily the teams that are playing in it. But we do want to look at them, and the Orcas, again, coming off a big game, last chance to really finally establish a win, and they're going up against a very strong Wildwood team here. Last year, we had the Aliens and the Mutant Mayhem, two teams that are definitely on the bashier side of things, go to a very close 2-1 game. I think it'll actually probably be a similar story this year, but I do have to favor the Elves when you're playing in like obtuse weather conditions like this. The Orcs can be resilient, but at the end of the day, you got to be able to put the ball in the end zone. So I'm going to take the Eldar United in this one, but this is chaos incarnate.
Most definitely. Yeah, I got to go with Wildwood too. Obviously, there's there's a lot of randomness and chaos injected into this type of bowl game, but I've seen what Wildwood can do, and they were close to making a run in the playoffs. So I think they cap off their season as Sun Crushed Bowl champions. All right, and our newest bowl game, potentially a instant classic from the looks of it. We've got the Flamin' Hot Threedos Bowl. So the Guttersburg Rebels and the San Francisco Legion are going to go head to head in this match in the Threedo Fray Caves. Also part of the Stratus Valley. They're going to be playing on an inward sloped pitch where basically the lowest point of this pitch is the center, and everything else is going to kind of roll its way to the middle, which is very interesting. We normally like a flat pitch in the NKBBL, but we're making exceptions here. Also, they'll have to deal with the subterranean weather, and then there's the Threedo flavored rocks that are going to come in and cause an issue. But Tanaka, how's this one gonna go down?
This is I'm gonna be honest. This is a big wall of text. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah,
here,
this is the biggest one. I'm sorry.
This is the biggest wall of text. I'm looking at this. The three-toe flavor rocks, to me, I think the fact that the way I'm reading it, it sounds like you're going to have to either risk setting up on a wide zone and potentially getting injured, or you're going to funnel all your players in the middle of the pitch. And if I'm going to favor a team that's going to survive a real crush in the middle, especially with these slopes, I'm going to give the edge to the Legion just because the Guttersburg Rebels have such an injury-prone team. Now, they still have Sir Reginald, throw teammate, they can still cook up on that. And besides this past week, they're still they have a very high winning rate in postseason play. But San Fran's held strong defensively, and they just came off a pretty good win against the Rothleach and Rampage, the OWA, another similar kind of multiple offensive kind of team. So I actually think, Koba, I think your Legion's going to take a win here. It's going to be bash heavy for sure. Probably not as much as Murder Bowl or Sun Crushed, but I think the fact that between the weather, the pitch slopes, and the fact that you're going to get crushed on the sidelines here, it's going to force the game to kind of clump together. And I'm going to give my money to the Strength 4 Gorillas versus the Goblins on the overall team. So,
All right, Kobo, what do you got to say about that?
Well, it's nice to finally be recognized. My Legion are simply going to crush these rebels, and there's no doubts about it. Rocks, we throw those for fun. This is going to be easy peasy. So if you're listening, rebels, they know what it means.
All right, Dimitri, who you got?
Well, we've talked about this. You talk about the idea of this possibly being an instant classic. I mean, the 3-0 Freight Company just bought the rights to a bowl game, so we kind of had to give it to them this year. But yeah, I mean, that is part of the reason we're playing on such a bizarre pitch. They literally just said, "Hey, we don't really have a place to play. We have this cave that we mine all of our resources out of, though, and that's for whatever reason where this game's being played." And elementally, I think that would favor a heavyweight team like the Caesars Legion. But I do want to call out, we're sports pundits here. We still want to look at the logistics of this match. Gunnersburg is going to be getting 320 in inducements, and if we know a team that loves to pull out the inducement packages, it's the Rebels. I think this could be a very close game. I think Caesars Legion have a lot of advantages going for it on paper, but I just want to see whatever the Rebels are going to pull out for this last game of the season, because it's going to turn this into a very fun to watch game.
Indeed. For me, I don't know. I'm thinking, who is going to be better at dodging these cheesy stalactites? And it might be Funk Flint Reaver. I think he may even find a way to use them to his advantage. Dare the sideline, sprint across with the ball, and just sidestep all of these falling rocks into end zone, and then a potential victory. So I don't know. This is going to be insane. I can't wait to see this one live. But for me, give me the Rebels. I'm going to split the desk.
Yeah, let's see who gets to celebrate with Scrunt, the 3-toed orange gobbo.
God.
Meet him.
I love Scrunt. All right. Anyway, that's our bowl game festivities. A little extra wrinkle that we love to put into the NKBBL and cap most players' seasons off with a potential trophy and a little bit of lighthearted fun. But without further ado, fellas, are you ready to talk about our Final Four?
Oh, am I?
All right, let's get right into it. And we'll start on one side of the bracket. The number 1 Slam Diego Chargers take on the number 2 seeded Neuroport Brainwave Blitzers. So the Blitzers come in with $80K to spend. And like I mentioned earlier, these two teams are pretty close in statistics, within 1 or 2 of each other all the way down the list. And both are, top 3 in overall output. So this one's going to be electric. These two have played each other before, and it concluded in a 2-2 draw. Now, we know with the playoff matches, that can't be the outcome. So it's going to be up to Philip Reavers or Timothy the Voidwalker to get the edge, score the final touchdown, and see their team into the finals. Tanaka, who's going to the NKBBL Championship?
Well, folks, like I said earlier, my bracket's pretty well damn busted, but part of it's not. And that part is this end of the bracket, where I pick Slam Diego to take the victory. I do think their previous match that ended in a tie, I think there was a lot of... We've seen this before with the Vampires, where they can get very explosive very fast. I think this go-round, if the Slam Diego Chargers can handle their defensive standard, they have a standard, they'll be fine. But the real question is, can you contain Timothy? Can you contain Doom Ripper? Doom Ripper, all-time casualty leader for single season. Currently, we still have a couple more games left, but 11 casualties is the record, shattering the record from the Queen City Kings. So very destructive claws, frenzy, mighty blow piece right there that can tear up the line. And Timothy Voidwalker just absolutely cooked in the quarterfinal. So, I mean, the real question is, can they contain this just absolutely insane offensive threat, both on the scoring end and on the casualty end? And if they do, they'll get the win. And honestly, we've seen it before. The casualty leaders of the season, Slam Diego, this team they're facing, they got a lot of armor 8, not only in the thralls, but in their catchers. So if they can get a good amount of casualties rolling, this can get out of hand very quickly for the Vampires. This should be a close match, though. I don't think it's going to be any sort of blowout. All of our playoff matches have been pretty tight, I think, generally, despite final scores. But this will be a good one. This will be a classic for sure. But I do think the Slam Diego Chargers will pull out the win, and they'll get a second chance at a championship. I know the coach already has season 2 champ. Can they get season 5? We'll find out.
We will find out. Koba, who you got?
For me, this is going to go to the Chargers. One, I have various disputes with the coach of the report. We do not see eye to eye. I do not want to be in the same room with him. But regardless, I think if these orcs, these Chargers, can smack the food source of these vamps, they will go feral. And that will leave them wide open, and the Chargers can secure tutties and thus the victory.
All right, Dimitri, what's your take?
I think Koba actually said it pretty well. The Chargers just need to go after the thralls of the Blitzers, and I think that's going to be one of the keys to victory for the Chargers. I'm also going to take the Chargers to win this game. I think they've been one of the strongest teams, and the Blitzers did have an excellent go-around in the regular season in this matchup the first time by. They made Slam Diego work all 16 turns just to force the draw. But that's the Blitzers on a high-end day, and I think, especially with the experience having seen them once, I think that's enough for the Chargers to have a game plan going into this game. The Chargers are just the number 1 team in the casualty column. The Blitzers are number 2 for what it's worth. But last week in the quarterfinals, even though the Blitzers had a pretty convincing win over the Mudclaws, they really had to pull out all the stops to do it. And the Mudclaws were doing a great job of keeping thralls off the pitch. So the Blitzers were really just rolling absolutely hot hand and managed to get away with it. I don't think the Chargers are going to give them that same level of leeway, especially considering they have a much better strength matchup compared to what the Mudclaws can bring to the table with only 6 Saurus. With all those notes in mind, I think Slam Diego comes away with it on the second time by. The Blitzers look great. They would probably, honestly, this would be a championship game in a lot of seasons. But the nature of the brackets have the semifinals. I'm going to go with the Chargers on this one.
All right. Yeah, just to cap off, God, this one is this one is insane. Because, I mean, if you just look at the stats, I felt it most important to just pull the season stats for both teams just to show how close these two teams are. Neuroport's a little bit better in scoring. The Chargers slightly ranked higher in casualties. The overall output, they're number 1 and number 2 in total differential. These are 2 elite teams, but I do see it as a story of a team built around consistency versus a team built around momentum. And sometimes with the Vampire team, that momentum, I mean, on a good day, Blitzers never lose. They are truly unstoppable with the ability to hypnogaze, with all of these elite vampires. As long as they're not bloodlusting, you just can't stop them. However, the Chargers team does lean back on this team is consistent. This team can do the job without much struggle each time, although the ceiling is quite maybe not as high. But I mean, I could flip a coin and decide the outcome of this game. But there's something I've stuck true to all year, and that I've never bet against the coach of the Slam Diego Chargers, and I'm not going to stop now. I think the Chargers get it done here. But I would not be surprised. Yeah, I would not be surprised to see Neuroport in the finals. All right, and secondly, and for me, most exciting, because these are 2 teams that I've wanted to see all season. It's the number 1 seeded Vermin Skulkers versus the number 2 New England Matriarchs.
You got that flip-flop, Bell.
Oh, sorry. Flipped. My bad. The number 1 seeded New England Matriarchs, let me not tarnish the name, versus the number 2 seeded Vermin Skulkers. That's right, there can't be 2 number 1s in the bowl division. Anyway, they're dragging the the editor out. I believe he's being fed to the squigs. Anyway, the number 1 Matriarchs, number 2 Skulkers. Again, it's a story of the 4 teams that made it to the semis are incredibly tight. They're the top 4 teams for a reason. You look at the statistics, they both get it done. Obviously, the Vermin Skulkers have ran away. They're far and ahead in the scoring category. But the Matriarchs have the best defense this year. They've only allowed 7 scores. They're literally first there. So it's literally the highest scoring team versus the best defensive team. And whoever's will is weaker is where it's going to break there. So it really comes down to, Longshanks still tail. He won't be there. So they got to get it done without him. So Sneak Claw's got to step up and be the man without his buddy. Big playmaker missing for the Skulkers, but they got to get it done if they want to see the finals. And on the other side, it's just about stopping those rats. And it's going to come down to Terrace the Invoker doing what she's always done, being the leader of the best defense in the NKBBL. But Tanaka, who's going to the final on this side of the bracket?
Well, I didn't pick either of these teams to make it from this half of the bracket, but here we are. I will say, no, there are not 2 1 seeds from the bowl division. Put some respect on the Matriarch's name. They are the blood number 1. Now, granted, I expected them to lose in the quarterfinal to the current, at that time, undefeated in postseason play coach of the Guttersburg Rebels. However, they shut me right up because they had a performance that was a very convincing win. A 3-0 shutout, kills involved, just absolute walloping. They got it done. And now we're looking at it here. And even now, we're unintentionally giving them a little disrespect on this because, yeah, you would think on paper the Skulkers are going to just put belt to ass. But I'm going to put the word out there. I think the Matriarchs can handle this. And the way I see it is we already talked about it just now. Matriarchs have the best defense in the league. The second best is the Charges. The Charges who beat the Skulkers in the regular season. So if you look at similar playstyles, the Charges are slower but bashier. The Matriarchs are surprisingly bashy with 3 kills and an even casualty differential of just 0. They dish it as well as they take it. But they're fast. They're really fast. And you know who else is fast? The Skulkers. So I'm looking at it. The Matriarchs were 1 game away from having the Coil Cup. If they didn't get blown out in week 9 to the Brainwave Blitzers, they would have walked away with the Coil Cup, right? Just about. So the big thing here is they have nothing to lose. They've made it to the semifinals for the 2nd year in a row, but this is the time for them to get to the finals, and the opening's there. And we briefly mentioned it already. Stilltail is not in the game. Stilltail is not in the game. Los Alamos gift wrapped them a potential upset here. Limiting their scoring potential to 3 gut runners is a lot easier than 4. So I'm going to pick the quote upset here with the 1 seed Matriarchs, not the 2 seed, the 1 seed Matriarchs getting a victory over the Skulkers. It is going to be a very tight game, but the Matriarchs, they're starting to show a lot more explosiveness down the stretch here. And honestly, they're a top 4 team. They've always been a top 4 team, and they were very close to being the number 1 overall team. So I think they can do it. I think they can do it. Although, Chadwell, if you win this, I would not be surprised either, because 32 touchdowns is a lot of freaking touchdowns, man. But yeah, I'm going to give it to the Matriarchs, but it's the Skulkers games to really lose on the scoring perspective. But I'm going to give it to the Matriarchs. Tight game.
Yep. All right, Koba, who's getting it?
Well, I would just like to say, first of all of you need to put more respect on Eddie Toriel's name. He works very hard. Anyway, I think for the first time ever, I'm going to bet against the Rats. This dumbass rat has officially been smacked. And their legs much shorter than Amazon legs. Amazons got the big, long legs.
Easy now, Koba.
I'm sorry. I got it. But they're also a very good ball handling team and a very good defensive team. They can get the tutties and they can stop the gutter runners from doing so. That's why I'm handing this one to the Matriarchs.
All right. Dimitri, who are you seeing in the final?
At the beginning of the season, I had a preseason ranking that had Matriarchs and Skulkers sitting 1 and 2. And we get this here in the semifinals. Matriarchs have worked hard to make it back to a semifinal, and I have to think they're going to have a little bit of PTSD seeing Skaven on the other side of the pitch yet again. It's they got gift wrapped. Tanaka mentioned it as a big point here. The Skulkers had such an explosive season that it'd be hard to root against them in a lot of situations. I've said this multiple weeks now, but they're out Longshanks, Stilltail, and that opens a world of possibilities. The Skulkers have been an all gas, no brakes, all warpstone, no brakes, however you want to phrase it, team, and I think that is going to be their downfall in this game. The Matriarchs are a team that have been very good defensively because they punish teams and they force them to make desperation plays. And frankly, outside of a slip up against Neuroport, the Matriarchs have absolutely punished their opponents week in and week out, and it's why they keep coming away with convincing wins, barely even giving up touchdowns. I do want to say this is still a very good Skulkers team. They still have 3 very capable gutter runners. Stretch, Sneakclaw, Kakaketch, and Scoomzoom are all very functional, capable players to fill in the gap here. In fact, last season when the Skulkers first showed up in the NKBBL, it was looking like Stretch Sneakclaw was going to be the potential star of this team, and he still has that level of skill in his wheelhouse. Possibly even more surprising, and he's not even on the screen right now, we got to mention the blitzer, Squeak Spinetail. He could be the difference maker in this game because the Skulkers have been a pretty aggressive attacking team at points during this season. And if Squeak has one of those big games, he could be the difference maker in what stops the Matriarchs from going forward. I would argue that both of our semifinal matches are absolutely finals caliber. The Matriarchs, I cannot praise them enough. They are a team that, as long as they show up and play their game, I think they are a team to beat. And for as strong as the Skulkers have been at points in the season, I am going to take the Matriarchs in this one. And if it's anything like the performance that the Chargers did as the only other team to hold a candle to the Matriarchs, I think, this season, this is the only game in the bracket that we haven't already seen this season. The Matriarchs may just be a team that can shut down the Skulkers just front to back. So I'm going to take the Matriarchs over the Skulkers on this one. I think we're going to have a true 1 versus 1 matchup in the final.
All right. Yeah, for me, I have to agree. I think in my bracket, I had basically no upsets all the way down. So I see the Matriarchs taking this one, and it's nothing against the Skulkers. It's just, you look, they are number 1 in the amount of touchdowns scored with 44. However, look at Longshanks' stats. 25. That is more than half of their total output on one player, and they're not going to have it. They're just simply not going to have that tool for this match. And I think you remove that, you gotta find someone else to score. And it's not that Stretch, Sneakclaw, Kakakitch, and Scoomzoom can't get it done. It's just that they, like, Longshanks was able to get it done because all 4 of them were out there working as a unit. You take one cog away from the machine, and then everybody becomes a little bit more targetable and a little more predictable, and you start to see where these gutter runner rats are gonna go, and the Matriarchs with their elite defense are gonna track them down, I think, and knock them out. But yeah, like I said, I would not be surprised to see who wins this one, no matter which way it goes. I think the Matriarchs, they have only amplified as the season has gone on. So as each week goes, the Matriarchs get better and better and better and better. So I think they just put a cap on it and get it done here tonight. Or, well, I guess it's not tonight, it's on another night. But they get it done, and then they find themselves in the very first final. All right. Well, that will do it. I believe, Dimitri, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the match that you guys are going to see tonight is the Slam Diego Neuroport match.
Yes, definitely. Koba and I will be hitting you with a pregame. Neuroport versus Slam Diego in a massive semifinals match. You're definitely not going to want to miss it. Two teams that are going to go head to head in a rematch from a huge draw back in week 8.
Mhm.
By the way, if you're looking for something to do while you wait for tonight's broadcast, go catch that on Cabal Vision North on demand.
Absolutely. Yeah. If I had it my way, this would be the match that we would see instead. Not that I think either match will be less entertaining. It's just
Absolutely.
that Skulkers Matriarchs looks so juicy. Like
It's a big juxtaposition to the matchup between the Blitzers and the Charges, which is definitely going to be a lot of head smacking. And not to say there won't be any head smacking in between the Matriarchs and the Skulkers, but it really is just the opposite end of the same style. It's using your speed to an advantage that makes your opponent make more questionable plays, makes more aggressive plays, maybe even have to make backwards plays just to open up the field for you. I agree with you. Definitely, this should be a match that everyone should be able to see, but we're going to have to see which one of them sneaks through, and we'll catch them in the finals.
Yes, we will. But I didn't. Koba, Tanaka, anything?
Remember to place your parlays on Caesar's Sportsbook. Use code BOOM for 10 free gold.
Good luck to all the coaches tonight, and Blood Bowl. Yeah, Blood Bowl.
All right. Good luck to everyone. Thank you guys for tuning in, and please check out the match later tonight. We will catch you again after the semifinals as we break down the final match of the NKBBL 5th season. This has been Wartscenter. Thank you all, and good night.